It's a beautiful it's a beautiful good morning, rather, and a warm welcome to Camnet TV breakfast show. Your host, I am Kaptula Afias. In the studio this morning, I'm with Vincent. Billy Vincent, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kaptula. So I was wondering there, you were trying to say good afternoon. I'm like, probably he's used to hosting afternoon shows.
Oh yeah, the people's verdict.
Yeah.
You can just understand. So there's that mix up.
Yeah, I see.
Otherwise, we have transitioned into this program this morning, and we're glad that you could join us today. As you are aware, we focus on business. We're going to be having an economist in the studio a little bit later who is going to help us discuss economic affairs. As you know, the week has been eventful in terms of business and as well as politics.
Yeah.
We have seen that the president did visit his secretariat there, the UPND secretariat. However, this time they launched the new secretariat, which is the Anderson Campbell Mazoka House.
And also something to note, the president was earlier at Intercontinental, where they had prayers with the church mother bodies and church leaderships from various churches.
Oh yeah.
Simply to pray for peace, unity, as well as probably the rains. We are all concerned that we haven't received the rains for about, it's a month now, right? If I'm
Should be 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks, especially the southern part of the country.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And according to I think I spoke to someone who deals with agriculture. We have seen images on social media, crops drying up and whatnot. And from what he said, if this trajectory continues for another 2 weeks, which is 14 days, then the farmers will lose it all.
There will be total crop failure.
Yeah.
But we hope for the best. And just about now, before we get into the discussion, let's look at the health corner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Manga Nalowe. I'm a medical doctor, and I'm with the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. For the past 3 days, we've been discussing a very important topic, which is cholera. It's important to us now because on the news we've been hearing so much about it, and so I've been trying to explain more about it so that everyone can know what exactly is this disease. So on the first day, we talked about what cholera is and what it does to the body. And on the second day, we talked about how to prevent cholera. Yesterday, we talked about the signs and symptoms of cholera. And today, we'll talk about the treatment of cholera. So yesterday, I talked about how when you notice the signs and symptoms that we talked about, the diarrhea, the vomiting, which is rice water-like, and any seizures, coma, anything, even in the babies, it's important that you rush to the nearest medical hospital. And so at the hospital, they're going to run tests. Firstly, it's important to state that just based on your signs and symptoms, it's easy to make a diagnosis of cholera. So treatment can also start from just you telling your doctor about your signs and symptoms and them knowing that it's cholera. But then also, there are certain lab tests, like on your stool, that would be done at the hospital for them to confirm that you have this disease. And then treatment would be based on that clinical and the lab diagnosis. So treatment of cholera is, in the hospital is very easy. Mostly it's based on fluid replacement. We talked already about how when the poison is in the intestines, it causes you to release large amounts of fluids and electrolytes through vomiting and diarrhea. And so treatment is going to be based on those two things. So our first treatment is through fluid replacement. And this fluid replacement is done based on the level of dehydration that the person has. So if a person is able to drink on their own, we'll be able to give them ORS, which they can drink on their own. But even from home, before you bring them to the hospital, you know how it's easy to make ORS by it's a simple salt, sugar, and water solution. So they can start this from home if they are able to drink. If they are not able to drink on their own, this fluid replacement will be done through their veins. So we call it an intravenous way. So we use an intravenous route to rehydrate this person. And then we talked about how cholera is a bacteria. It's a germ, right? So since it's a bacteria, we can also use antibiotics in the hospital. So there is a regimen that will be given by the hospital or by the WHO, which the hospital will follow for antibiotics, and that's what will be given to the patient to help them get well sooner. Also, we want to encourage this person to have a proper diet and to keep eating, so we encourage them to have meals. If they can't eat, if they're too weak to eat, we'll make sure that they're having light meals, things like porridge, just to make sure their energy level is increasing. Because they've been losing too much, we want to make sure we're replacing things at a good rate. And lastly, but not the least, we want to make sure that this person has moral support. You know, this is a disease that people, we hear on the news about deaths due to this disease, so people will have fear. And for a person to actually heal well, we know that health is holistic. It's not just about physical health, but it's also emotional, all those things. So they need this, as much support as they can have from their family, even from the hospital staff, to make sure that their healing process is quickened and is easier. So we want to make sure that the moral support is high. But even as we give moral support to our family and friends who have cholera, we make sure that we are keeping in mind those preventative measures that I talked about. So you make sure that sanitation and hygiene are still high, even as you take care of your loved ones. This is Dr. Mainga Nalue. Thank you so much for watching, and this is the end of our discussion on cholera. Continue watching Camnet TV.
That is the healthy corner right there, just helping us discuss the issue of cholera, which is a topical issue as at now. Just about now, we move into the money markets and see how the kwacha is faring this morning. There you have it. The US dollar is buying at 26 kwacha, 10 ngwe there. It's selling at 26 kwacha, 61 ngwe. The euro is buying at 28 kwacha, 10 ngwe there, selling at 28 kwacha, 66 ngwe there. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 38 ngwe, selling at 1 kwacha 40 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 2 kwacha 81 ngwe and selling at 33 kwacha 45 ngwe. The gains that have been noticed from yesterday is still the trend in terms of the kwacha and the US dollar, and also the Great British Pound. I think there's some reduction there in terms of the selling.
Yes, and I think for this whole week we've seen this trend where at least it had appreciated and depreciated a bit, but from should be yesterday or the other day, I think the kwacha has maintained its strength, and probably it keeps on appreciating against the dollar and the pound there.
So we might say it's minor strength, and we hope perhaps the interventions that the Bank of Zambia is putting in place, they're yielding some results. We're just going to be discussing that when the economist is in terms of what is prompting those minor gains in terms of the strength of the currency. I think right about now we move into the zooming in of the stories, and I must mention that the phone lines are open. You can utilize the phone lines on your screens. You can tell us issues of concern and also react to the stories that we're going to be zooming in this morning that made headlines in our evening news. You can also have your say in terms of how business is, how you look at business in the country. My first story is Vendata Mineral Resources has displaced the first $25 million to pay Konkola Copper Mines KCM salaries, contract labor and other critical services needed to maintain the integrity of the mine. Vendata Resources Director Corporate Communications, Masuzi Ndlovu rather says a technical team has also been deployed at KCM to work together with the current management to ascertain the state of the asset and ensure that business is prepared for operations. We can zoom in that story.
I mentioned that Vendata Resources has commenced funding to Konkola Copper Mines KCM. It has disbursed its first 25 million United States dollars for employee salaries, contract labor, as well as for other critical services to maintain the integrity of the asset. Vedanta has since deployed a technical team at KCM to work together with the management team to ascertain the state of the asset. This is aimed at ensuring that the business is prepared for operations once Vedanta takes over upon conclusion of the scheme of arrangement. So what is going to happen is that after the scheme of arrangement is concluded with the courts, the next thing that will happen is that the provisional liquidator will vacate her office and hand over the company KCM to Vedanta Resources. And once that happens, it means that Vedanta Resources, together with the other shareholder, ZCCM Investment Holdings, will now be able to appoint a board of directors. And once the board of directors is appointed, the management will be reporting to the board of directors for decision making, for critical decisions, for KCM, and for all policy direction. So once that happens, it now means that Vedanta will be able to now fulfill the commitments which we could have made, such as pay of the employees, the 20%.
That is Vendata Resources Director Corporate Communications there, Masuzi Ndlovu, disclosing that the mining giant has dispersed the first $25 million in terms of for payment of salaries, contract labor, and other critical services needed to maintain the integrity of the mine. I'm sure this has come as good news for the proponents of the coming back of Vendata at KCM.
Yes, I think most people, especially those who are concerned with the operations in the mines, have been time and again quoted calling for the company that has been entrusted with operations at KCM to start operations so that we see a switch in terms of economic performance and also improving the status of the workers and the people of Zambia at large.
I think one of the major sources, the vocalist we have covered is Mr. Banda.
Mr.
Samuel Banda.
I think we need to get him today.
We need to get a reaction on that. He has been one of the people pushing for ensuring that Vendata gets back to operations, to full operations of the mine. This morning we focus on business, and the major stories we're looking at is that one where Vendata has started this disbursement of funds into KCM, and also another development that happened on Wednesday. We saw that the Bank of Zambia did hold the policy monetary committee briefing where the monetary policy rate was adjusted upwards. Let's just get into that story. The economy is overheating. It needs to be cooled down. Bank of Zambia boss Governor Den Kayaya assented Wednesday as he announced the upward adjustment of the monetary policy rate MPR from 11% to 12.5%. While it's admitting the move will cause further pain on citizens as it tightens liquidity in the economy, Dr. Kayaya stressed that the move is aimed at addressing inflation, which is projecting further away from the target band of 6 to 8% in 2024.
Decided to increase the policy rate by 150 basis points to 12.5%. The decision was informed by a number of factors, but the key ones were that inflation is increasing.
Speaking during the Monetary Policy Committee briefing in Lusaka, Dr. Kayaya called on all stakeholders to do their part in reviving the economy.
But what we really want to stress is that notwithstanding the challenges that we face currently, when we look over the horizon to the medium and long term, the prospects for our country are very strong.
Solving these problems at an overall system governance requires different actors to do their part as well. And so, as the boys said, we will take action, we will look at the results, we will continue to look at the evidence, and then we'll take appropriate action until we achieve the objective result. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the bank has disclosed that gold reserves stand at about $150 million following an addition.
So during the period, we bought an additional $43.2 million worth of gold, which has brought our holdings of that particular asset to $150.5 million.
Reacting to the upward adjustment in monetary policy rate, economist Kelvin Chisanga has expressed fears of increased cost of doing business and reduced production in the country.
Even when you look at the market pattern today, obviously, on one hand, I would say this is going to destroy what we have actually been doing, because if you look at the current market patterns, it does not warrant for us to be going upwards. Despite having an expansionary budget landing this year, the monetary authority on the side, they are...
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka. That story was not in our news last night, but it was in the news on Wednesday. We did play it because today we are focusing on business, and you can have a say on those stories that we have zoomed in so far in terms of the disbursement of $25 million by KCM. Moving on to another story, the Zambia Police Service has advised members of the public to form neighborhood watch groups to help the service curb criminal activities in the community. In an interview, Zambia Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale stresses the crucial role that the general public play in prevention, in crime prevention. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwale says the service has divided communities into zones to facilitate effective patrols by police officers in response to criminal attacks of gangs popular as junks. Let's see that story.
Zambia Police Service has urged members of the public to report of any malicious activities in their localities. The Zambia Police Service Deputy Spokesperson Dan Mwale says the police is working tirelessly to enforce law and order in the communities, but residents in the community have to join hands. Mr. Mwale says members of the public are key in ending the scourge of criminal gangs, popular as junkies, because they are now carrying out attacks during the day to avoid crashing with the police on patrol in the night.
We are currently conducting operations in the communities to make sure that we bring to book the people who are involved in attacking innocent members of the public. These young boys and girls are commonly known as junkies. We have several reports that they are attacking members of the public in different communities. So what we have done as the Zambia Police Service, we have enhanced our patrols. We're talking about both foot patrols and motorized patrols. Yes, so what we have done is, because most of the reports are coming during the daytime, so what we have done is we have divided the communities into zones. So we have police officers in every part of the community to make sure that we bring to book these boys and girls, because you realize that these are juveniles. Most of them, we find that they are 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, and you find that 21 years old is a gang leader. So as the Zambia Police Service, we want to see actually where this thing is coming from.
Speaking in an interview, Mr. Mwale has advised community members to form neighborhood watch groups, as this will come in handy in helping the service improve response time to crime.
Is happening. So we want to urge members of the public to report any form of attack, to report to the Zambia Police. Our presence is everywhere. To report to any police post, any police station, whenever they are attacked, so that we quickly attend to the situation. During our patrols, we may not be everywhere. We may not be everywhere at a given time. So we urge members of the public to help us, to be with us, to form Neighborhood Watch Association, to join community crime prevention units these are people who are working hand in hand with the police, so that together we work for the safety of our communities. So
Meanwhile, the police says it has continued to create awareness activities against vandalism of public property, as it is a crime punishable by law. Prudence Chibwe, reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
You are watching Camnet TV Breakfast Show, and we're just zooming in headlines in terms of stories that were in our news in last evening. The police there is appealing to the community in terms of forming neighborhood watch groups, which is a good idea because most of these young people, they are known. And what the sad part, however, is that sometimes you discover that some community members, they know where these boys and girls are coming from, but they can't mention it, for obvious reasons, perhaps in one of our neighbor, or maybe, there are those issues.
Yeah, attack and whatnot. Yeah. I think that's a good call, and in communities where junkism is prominent, I think they must take this seriously. And these are communities like Karikiriki. Right now, if you talk of Karikiriki, one thing that will come first into your mind is the issue of junkies. I think if you try to go around this area, you find the police there. Yeah, you're likely to meet the police, and I think it's a good move again by the police to try and patrol the areas, as well as we all know that police can't be everywhere at every time. So it's a good move that residents themselves try to play a role in ensuring that we keep these files.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the stories that I have here. First of all, we'll go to the story where political activist Dante Sanders says Zambians aspire for a strong political landscape with robust parties both in government and opposition. In an exclusive interview, Mr. Sanders says power lies with citizens, adding that relying on the media visibility without tangible support on the ground renders parties insignificant in the political sphere. Let's get to see that story.
That I wish them the very best of luck in this particular issue. For me, I think that the people of Zambia, what we want at the end of the day is a strong political party in government and even a strong political party in opposition. This is going to help this country move forward, especially when you're looking at checks and balances. This country is badly in need of checks and balances. We don't want issues, where people bring in opposition. There's been so many opposition parties in our history here in Zambia, and all of them have come very short of one particular issue. They think that to be called president of a party, it's all it takes, and that's all that they want. The people of Zambia want much more than that. You need a political party without people on the ground. It's as good as no political party. So power is people. So whoever is forming a political party, if they have that in their mind, that power is people, then I think they will be able to go somewhere. I have had the pleasure of being in opposition all my life in this country. And I've seen so many political parties come and go. Whether they come together or they don't come together, the bottom line is if they have nobody on the ground, if they are talking to themselves every day on TV and radios and newspapers and so on, they are nothing.
All right, political activist there, Dante Sanders, weighing in probably on the political playfield, looking at the opposition that we have in the country as well as the ruling UPND. Now, maybe to marry that story, we get to the Council of Churches in Zambia that has commended the government for its commitment not to obstruct the registration of the United Kwacha Alliance. CC Secretary General Father Emmanuel Chikoya says it is a positive step for democracy and promotion of mutual political culture in the country. Father Chikoya, however, criticized the endorsement of tribal comments by Dr. Chishimba Kambwiri during campaigns towards a tribe of a certain region of the country. He says such divisive language is detrimental to Zambia and should not have a role in the country's politics.
The formation of the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, has continued to receive mixed reactions. In welcoming the formation of the alliance, the Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, has commended government for its commitment not to impede the growth of the group.
For as long as they meet the legal requirements of the land, we are happy with their coming together.
CCZ General Secretary Father Emmanuel Chikoya says the commitment is a sign of Zambia's growing democratic tendencies.
CCZ commends the government for its commitment not to obstruct the registration of the United Kwacha Alliance. This gesture signifies a significant stride towards promoting democracy and fostering a mature political culture in Zambia, recognizing the pivotal role of opposition political parties in national development.
Father Chikoya has, however, condemned what he terms the celebration of tribal remarks issued by Mr. Kambwili towards a named region of the country by government.
Regarding the celebration made by the chief government spokesperson regarding the tribal remarks made by Honorable Chishimba Kambwili against a specific region. Such divisive rhetoric is hostile to Zambian values and has no place in our political discourse.
The council has since urged all political actors to be mindful of their utterances as they have potential to divide the nation. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
All right, political issues there, Mr. Kaptula. So my interest was basically to marry the view of Mr. Dante Saunders and this one.
Well, I think the CCZ is joining the comments of several others. I think throughout the week we have had individuals and organizations comment on the formation of the UKA Alliance. We saw UPND consultant rather taking a swipe on Mr. Maximo, taking a swipe on the formation of the alliance. On the very day we also saw a government welcoming the formation of the alliance, as well as committing to ensure that they will not obstruct the registration of the group in terms of when it meets the legal requirements. And the Council of Churches in Zambia, they're just commending government. But however, during the briefing, were you the one who covered the story of the Honorable Minister of Information? The one controversial piece that came from there is him talking in terms of that we worked together with
Dr.
Kambwili to ensure that we bring down Mr. Lungu in terms of his tribal remarks. However, maybe it could have been meaning something else, but maybe it was lost in interpretation, or also given the sensitive issue of the tribal remarks, it has agitated many people, including the church there, also directing that the seemingly celebration of those remarks are worrisome and not welcome to the country's political arena, sort of divisive.
Yeah, I think on that matter, whether it's the case of being misquoted or he tried to mean something, I think the minister has to come out and maybe clarify, because the debate will keep on coming back, and if he doesn't clarify, it might come back even after people forget about it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think the minister there needs maybe to call for a briefing again and clarify what he meant.
Yes. Because we can't be clarifying for him and other people can't be clarifying for him, but what has been taken away seemingly by many people is that even on social media we have seen prominent persons like Laura Mita as well labeling the ministers celebrating the tribal remarks, and also the CCZ yesterday following suit. So it is just prudent, as we have said, for the minister to clarify on the issue. Perhaps moving on in the stories, we can move to where the President Hakainde Hichilema has emphasized that the current democratic environment in the country is notably different from the previous Patriotic Front administration. Speaking during the official opening of Anderson Mazoka House at the new United Party headquarters in Lusaka, the head of state urged UPND members and the public to prioritize peace for national development. Meanwhile, opposition Patriotic Front senior members Patrick Samwembila and former priest Frankie Bwalia have urged the opposition to join the ruling UPND. So we can just go into that story.
President Hakainde Hichilema has opened the new headquarters for his party, named after the founding party president, Anderson Kambera Mazoka. Addressing the members of the party and the nation, the head of state emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and unity in the country. The president also reiterated that the democratic space in the country has widened compared to what was the case under the Patriotic Front government.
I want to say to colleagues in the opposition, we have given a lot of democratic space which we didn't have ourselves. We never had a democratic space. If we held a press briefing there, we knew that tear gas was coming. We knew. And today colleagues are saying there's a shrinking democratic space. It was never there. We are creating it now.
Vice President Mutale Nalumango was also in attendance.
That's why I sang there is no coming back. Your Excellency, the people can see. We talked. Today they can see. They are seeing free education.
During the same event, the party received new members in 2021 election, losing Patriotic Front Munali parliamentary candidate Patrick Samwembila, former Catholic priest Frank Bwalia, Christian Democratic Party Deputy SG Cosmas Chireshe, and Jairus Zulu from MMD.
You were appointed by the Lord, and therefore you have to be given time to serve the people of Zambia. And hence I'm here, sir, to support your vision, to support the leadership of the party.
See that golden smile? And when he tapped me on my shoulder as he was going around the offices, I knew everything was fine. Before that good intention was hatched, all of a sudden it has been hijacked by an invisible hand of a Lewele Lapo project, which I hereby like to denounce, Your Excellency, and our coming here is to tell the nation the truth.
A bit of a playback. Just a day ago, Mr. Cosmas Chireshe featured on Camnet TV Breakfast Show, where he passionately said the newly formed UCA Alliance is the new hope for the Zambians.
It can only come at a time like this. Mind you, we are going to 2026 elections. Okay, so time to start mobilizing structures is now. This is 2024. By the time we get to 2025, it's campaign time. So I think the time is right.
Meanwhile, on August 29, 2022, Frank Bwalia was quoted by one of the local media outlets labeling the UPND party as a no-direction party, which changed its slogan from Bali Fix It to Fimba Upoke. For Patrick Samwembila, on September 29th, last year, held a media briefing covered by Camnet TV News, where he highlighted and delivered promises by the UPND government and promised to fight for the Zambian people.
To the UPND government, please hear the cries of the people. Don't dream of your own things, busy talking about things that do not exist. How can the whole lot of the vice president go and give a comment to say UPND is here to stay for 50 years? 50 years without performing? Believe you me, unless you are talking about 50 years, we stroke off the zero, 5 years. Yes, we give you your 5 years, but 2026, you can't punch the Zambians and then you are just busy supporting the Western world.
One therefore would wonder if such defections are genuinely intended at saving the people of Zambia or saving oneself. Your guess is good as mine. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
As of December 2022, Zambia's debt stood at $31.6 billion with external debt accounting for $13.96 billion and domestic debt accounting for $14.23 million amid concerns of the country's economy underperforming, leading to the continued weakening of the kwacha. Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema on 22nd December 2023 during an end-of-year press conference, disclosed that his administration is making strides to ensure the living standards of citizens is uplifted by way of ensuring the country's debt is restructured. However, the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, has challenged the government to seek local solutions to the debt burden the country is facing and stop placing reliance on international institutions. Interim chairperson of the newly formed alliance, Sakwiba Sikota, explains that seeking international solutions comes with conditions that could be harsh, hence utilizing the local solutions is key.
I think that the IMF and World Bank are the only solution to our debt problem. Our debt problem is something that should be done using the many resources that we have. Debt restructuring for immediate relief is fine, but you've got to look much further than that. How is it that this can, which we have kicked down the road, we're going to be able to deal with it and not want to, again, when we reach it. That is why we in UKA say that what we need to do is to ensure that we get greater productivity in this country, to ensure that even with new investments that come in, for example, the cobalt thing.
Meanwhile, National Restoration Party Secretary General Martin Mulenga, who is also part of the ruling UPND alliance, explains that the country is in the current debt situation because of some members that are part of the UKA alliance. Mr. Mulenga argues that seeking international help is the only solution to addressing numerous challenges such as the cost of living in the country.
It's hypocritical for them that they've got solutions on how they need to have money being found locally, or to have homegrown solutions to these issues to do with the debt. They themselves, under the leadership of Edgar Chagwalungu, are the ones that were telling us that they were able to find a solution to the debt by way of contracting Lazard, which we know that they failed lamentably. We feel that they're not honest with themselves, because this country is trying to create a base from which now economic activities are able to start seeing fruits soon, and very soon, probably by the end of this year, we expect things to get better. We know the issues that we are grappling with as a nation is with resources, and we feel that this government, with this political will that they have, they'll find solutions to what we're going through as a nation.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is the state of Mato Primary School, located in Chief Katuta's area in Lupososhi District, Northern Province. Constructed by the community, the school, however, houses government teachers who are operating in visibly poor infrastructure, and these logs are used as desks for pupils. Evans Chansa is Mato Primary School head teacher and highlights some of these and other challenges being faced.
We don't have desks at our school. The pupils are struggling when they are lighting. Water sources are not good. It's very bad. Yes.
Speaking when Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, in the district toward the school, Mr. Chansa disclosed that the establishment currently has 220 pupils.
We are two, the government workers, but we have employed one as a volunteer who help us to teach. That's how we manage grade 1 up to 7. Say thank you to the government of the day, what they have done to our school.
Meanwhile, the Lupososhi District DMMU coordinator, who is also district commissioner, Mr. Simon Mwenya, says government remains committed to ensure the quality of education is provided to learners even in most rural parts of the country. Mr. Mwenya since disclosed that a 1x3 classroom block will be constructed in 2024 using the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. He was speaking when he handed over tents to be used as temporary shelter at the school.
Encouragement to our people in this community is to ensure that they support our teachers. They support the teachers we are bringing here to come and educate our learners. Because if they don't support them, definitely it will be very, very difficult for them to work effectively.
Ablam Chanda, who spoke on behalf of the residents in the area, hailed government for its commitment to provide quality education to citizens.
Tapaliefo mwinga kabira so ebusuma bwa omuntu kusambirira mwamwana so abama teachers nga baisa tumufuire mwa kitashani ukubasunga bwino.
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula.
Alright, we have zoomed in with 3 stories there, one from Lupososhi and the other one from the Uka Alliance. I think we did deliberate earlier on the Alliance.
Oh yeah, and also the UPND where the president there was at the secretariat. You can have a say on those stories, utilizing the numbers on the screens in terms of your reactions, and also just give us your views on what you think. Those perspectives that have been brought forward. We have also seen that there are defectors there joining the UPND. In politics, they say numbers. It's politics about numbers.
Yeah, it's about numbers, and there's no permanent enemy, they say.
Oh yeah, and we just see that because, like one of the defectors the other day was here and said he was in the opposition, and that is the Christian Democratic Party. The next day is now UPND.
And he spoke strongly against the Uka Alliance.
Oh yeah,
which is supported here, right here on set, on this program as well. Wow.
And also the bone of contention, I think, is the trajectory which the Uka Alliance is seemingly taking, where they are bringing in the former ruling party, which is the faction there, the PF. However, these are politics, and we wait to see the drama as the drama continues to unfold. We did mention that today we focus on business, and we're going to have a guest in the studio who's going to help us discuss issues in terms of economic affairs. Mr. Kelvin Chisanga is on set, and good morning, Mr. Chisanga.
Good morning, dear viewers.
How is the morning today?
Just fantastic. We are trying to get along with what has been happening. Obviously, the main concern has been the issue of dry spell. Interlinked aspect to do with food security.
Oh yeah, it's a very serious economical issue. We did hear also government maybe on Thursday discuss in terms of assuring the nation that we have enough maize stocks, but it's still worrisome.
Well, it's a 50-50 case. We are expecting to see some drastic change, if anything, because obviously this will impact negatively on our production in this year.
Mr. Sanga, just to kickstart the discussion, we have seen that the kwacha is still unstable and also weakening. However, we have noted that there has been some minor changes, especially when it's Thursday and also to today, Friday, some minor changes in terms of the movement in ways. How do you describe this issue, and also maybe what do you attribute it to?
Okay, maybe just to begin, I think kwacha for some time has been having a lot of challenges, starting from last year. Throughout the whole entire year, we saw how this pattern of current performance was actually trending. And much of what we have actually been able to see that we had 20% reduction in copper production the whole entire year. So that has actually given a very strong transmission mechanism to the rest of the portfolio in the economy. And what we're able to see is the situation where we have a less supply of dollars on the market for some time. And obviously, when you look at the fourth quarter of last year, we had received about 17% depreciation, rate as compared to what we have actually been able to see in other quarters. And that has also given a strong fuel flow even to the first quarter of this year, knowing that the copper production, which was lowered, and also many other compounding factors like the essential goods and all that are also augmenting strongly to this. So what we're able to see right now is that the Bank of Zambia has remained upbeat in terms of trying to inject dollars in the market, because we do not have a very good export basket to warrant a good supply. So what we're able to see is that there has been an intervention, a very strong intervention into this. And even then the sharp changes that we're able to see are also coming to make a strong argumentation in terms of trying to see how we can stabilize the market. But as it stands right now, we are seeing that besides using the policy consideration or deliberation, we're also seeing the heavy intervention by offloading or injecting some dollars in the market. Like in the case of fourth quarter last year, we received about 215 US dollars million injected into the economy. And just this 2 weeks in line, we have actually been able to see that we are almost close to about 90 million US dollars injected into the economy. That also implies to say that we are trying now to stabilize. But again, also, we need to have the market forces to play if we are to see how things can work out. But again, also, the challenge that is there that we've got a lot of fundamental issues that we are also faced with the market. The offshore taking place outside Zambia is also augmenting to that, because what we are doing is that kwacha is selling higher outside the country compared to what we're able to see in the country. So those are also complementing to the trouble that we're able to see. Yes.
Well, the depreciation of the currency is cross-cutting in terms of effects. We have seen that it has also affected the fuel prices. It's mainly attributed, the increment is mainly attributed to the depreciation of the kwacha by the Energy Regulation Board. Away from the copper production, is there anything that we can do in the short term to ensure that the kwacha is stabilized?
You see, yes, there is a way we can work around. Obviously, we need to master, the dollar vesting points. We've got places like Kazungula, Chirundu, Mwami, and Nakonde, even Kasumbalesa. These are points that we can invest dollar. And if we are to work around a very good mechanism, we can start investing dollars from there. And also we need to look at the leakages that we are actually having in the dollars demand as well. You find that some banks are investing dollar, to mitigate some of the shortfall that we're able to see. And then also we need to look at a way we can introduce interest rates on CFC accounts. The CFC accounts, which linked now to the current introduced export proceed tracking framework, can actually also help, because what we can do is that we'll be able now to get more people, have some more interest in terms of holding cash in CFC, because with the essence now, the CFC account will have a bit of interest at the end of it, meaning that it will now create that atmosphere where people start participating. And then we also need to look at how best can we start scaling down some of the perennial and annual purchases that we normally buy. During the fourth quarter and probably maybe extend a bit to third quarter, we have heavy use of dollar. And it has been a perennial situation which we need to create.
Issue of fertilizer and
yes, so meaning fertilizers and fuel. I think some of these need to be locked also in contract, especially when it comes to fuel, so that we can also avoid the heavy use of US dollars in the third quarter as well as fourth quarter. Because this time we do not have so much of the strong interchange in terms of trade. Yeah, so now coming back to the aspect of other means, we can also now look at agriculture, because agriculture doesn't take too long for us to start harvesting. So we need to look at how best can we start working out the agriculture output and agriculture interest, so that we can actually widen the basket even when it comes to the export wallet. Because what has been happening in the case of non-traditional export, we are not doing much. And if you are exporting anything from agriculture sector, we are only exporting something that is in raw form. What we need to do is to export processed maize in the form of meal, or anything that can actually help us do at least even create jobs as we are exporting. Because if you export maize in the raw form, we are not sorting out the problem of unemployment. Look, we have got a situation where we have a population of 10 million people, But out of 10 million working class, we've only got about 4 million people working. So what about the 6 million who are not working in informal employment? That created a problem. So we need to look at how best can we come down to ensure that we have the best interest also to create value addition. So that when we are flooding in Congo or wherever we're flooding, maize product or whatever it is that we are flooding, it should have added some value to our current situation that we are facing.
You did mention the issue of the export tracking framework. In your projection as an expert in this field, do you see the export tracking framework as it is being implemented have a positive impact on the Kwacha?
Yes, most likely it will have after 90 days. Obviously, we're talking of something like March. We should be able to see that even the Kwacha will actually start now working out toward a manageable cost. Because you see, for the budget to function, the national budget to function this year, we need the budget to trend around maybe 21, 22, somewhere there. If we go with the current situation right now, it's created a very difficult situation for us to balance up a lot of factors, meaning that we'll be able to now pull money from somewhere to ensure that we mitigate what the immediate needs that is required to meet. So for us to work around a better solution around current performance, we need the export tracking system to also have a clearly defined lines to ensure that it starts working out to our best. If it's going to act harshly, it also scare the market players. So we need to also handle it with baby care. Yes.
All right, viewers, we are discussing economic affairs this morning, the business edition. We are having Mr. Kelvin Chisanga, who is helping us to discuss in terms of current happenings business-wise, especially in terms of the Kwacha and also the monetary policy rate and other issues. Maybe Mr. Piruke, you can come in.
I would like to draw Mr. Chisanga's attention to the agriculture sector. We all know that the impact that agriculture sector has on our economy. Now, looking at the current drought that we're experiencing, probably we may see reductions in terms of harvest and production itself. Do we see, on the economic perspective, are we seeing the prices of meal going up by next year?
Well, it's not just going to be a matter of next year. It's an issue that's also going just to trend upward, starting from the time we're talking right now. Because the basis here is that we had the low production. We produced about, for the previous season, we produced something around 3.2 million metric tons, which is actually not a very sufficient stock to actually feed the entire nation. And by the way, that is a stock feed that is required to feed just one province in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Katanga province in particular. So Zambia needs to start now looking at producing for the local market and producing for the regional market. Considering the current prevailing situation and maybe coupled with the dramatic events that we're able to see on the climate side, we are likely to actually have minimum still going up. We have not been able to even to work out a system that should be able to help us buffer supply in terms of physical and all that. So all these are argumenting so strongly to the current situation. So what we're able to see that the cost pressure is still standing strong, and it's going to take us in this direction. And that is even more now. It's a concerning element on my side to say, look, if the Bank of Zambia also is taking an upward trajectory when the economy is also facing these conditions, it becomes a relatively difficult situation for us to navigate. We have to tighten our belt. Yes.
Okay. Now, talking of the Bank of Zambia, my colleague mentioned that on Wednesday they did revise the monetary policy rate, and also before that, we saw the Bank of Zambia also revising the reserve ratios, and here we are seeing the Kwacha starting to appreciate. Can we attribute this appreciation of the Kwacha to these measures that the BOZ has taken?
Not necessarily, because you see that the issue is that, as I hinted earlier on, we have an heavy intervention with the Bank of Zambia, where they are offloading dollars into the market just to control the whole system. But again, also, yes, in the short to medium term, we should be able to say that we'll be able to see some moderation taking place to mitigate the effect that we're able to see. Because what is really taking place right now is that the economy has got other shocks, other effect that we're able to see, like the high unemployment rate, the depreciation in kwacha itself, the foreign exchange risks that we're able to see, the cost pressure around key commodities at household level, and even just generally within the industrial needs. Also, we are seeing that some of the ingredients are also going up. So it's from that level. So now what we're trying to see is that the Bank of Zambia, maybe I will just even tell you point blank, it has actually been in a panicking mode because of what is happening. There are too many issues that the economy is faced with. And what we are able to see are quite mitigative measures that maybe should be able to give direction. And I'm sure if you are following the MPR announcement, there was even a statement to say, look, the economy is overheating. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is also one of the concerned issues that the central bank is also looking to say, look, can we try this measure? So should anything happen, they can quickly apply an appropriate action. So what is happening right now is that we are trying to see how we can navigate through different challenging environment. Even the issue of debt restructuring process, it may be hindered if we're not able to take care of ourselves. And it's anticipated to say we should be able to conclude this in the first quarter of the year. So if we have out of the roof situation, it becomes quite a challenging factor for us to go about certain issues. So now what we're trying to see is that the rising up of the reserve ratio and the monetary policy rate is pushing away the benefit of doing business, because what is happening that we are passing a cost to the business world. The enterprising society are facing this challenge. For you to actually even get the stock, capital stock, it becomes a difficult situation when things are happening like this. The cost of doing business is also triggered to a lot of other things. In the end now, the final consumer will have to feel the bend, because what is happening right this moment is that the moment the cost of doing business or the cost of capital is less, meaning that it will have a cascading effect up to the far end of a consumer. Mm-hmm. So anything that we are selling along the way, it will have that growth in terms of price. And that is what's actually obtaining right now as we speak.
Now, talking about prices, I want to ask on behalf of a common man, just to understand what happens. We see when the kwacha depreciates, businessmen are quick to increase prices, but when it appreciates, the case is the opposite.
You know, the challenge that is there is that with the depreciation, the transmission mechanism is quite faster, because you need to match up with the value of your kwacha to that of the dollar. By the way, Zambia is an imported country. So if I'm buying a phone, this phone is directly a dollar priced. When it comes to kwacha, just a reflection of what the dollar is selling. So if there is a depreciation in the kwacha, meaning that I have to make sure that I match up with the dollar equivalent value. Otherwise, I'll be losing out instantly. So when there is an appreciation in kwacha, kwacha is not only the time stable, so it becomes a little bit of a challenge factor for us to quickly adjust. And even when you look at the other compounding cases, there is what we call lag effect. For the item to reflect the cost of the appreciation in the kwacha, it can take an average of about 3 months, and that is a longer period. Mm-hmm. By the time you're taking an average of 3 months to pass on the benefit of appreciation of the kwacha, then the kwacha would have some uncertainty in a way. Okay. So it becomes a difficult situation for you to act on the appreciation of the kwacha, because the kwacha is not always stable. Yeah, so it's really difficult.
Yeah. I was at the Bank of Zambia MPR press briefing, and what I observed from us, especially Zambian journalists, we were trying to arise from a point of market decisions. You know, market decisions where people are saying, no, there's a high cost of living and everything. But what we saw from the Bank of Zambia, Dr. Denny Karera, he had to put his foot down and talked in terms of numbers, and he said that the economy is overheating, the inflation rate is 13.5%. So he said that we have to do something. If there's a problem, if it requires a surgery, we have to operate and to ensure that we come out. And the major point is that they attributed the upward adjustment of the monetary policy rate by 150 basis points to 12.5 is that to curtail inflation. Yeah. Do you see this one working out?
Well, yes, we are taking a contractionary measure with the central bank. Again, also, maybe just to put this context, what the government right now is operating on an expansionary budget, where you see the CDF has been ballooned. You see a number of interventions that the government is bringing on the fore. So what is really happening when you see the kwacha depreciating, it means there is too much kwacha in the circulation. And there has to be an equal balanced situation. What we are seeing in essence is that the dollar is not in good supply. Because of that pressure where dollar is low on the market, the kwacha is now facing challenges of losing. So that's what is actually happening right now. So now, with the situation that the Bank of Zambia governor mentioned, obviously, yes, we need to take care of inflation. Obviously, yes, some other people are even saying we need to challenge the inflation management style. Quite okay. Even I for myself, I would say the targeting of inflation so much on this is also one of the biggest elements that we need to ensure that we give a counterbalance in terms of the view, because sometimes we overreact on the inflation. Some of us would expect this monetary policy to be less, yes, but not to a margin of 1.5%. Because what we have actually seen by 150 basis point is basically a huge jump. They should have been maybe 100 basis point, which is actually 1%. But again, also what we are seeing in this case that as long as we have persistent forex market pattern behaving this way, we'll still push inflation away. What we have right now is inflation emanating so strongly through the exchange market and also through the cost of goods that we are able to
especially food.
Yeah, especially the key commodity food that we normally put on the table. So these are key drivers of what we are able to see. So now, what we can do in this case as a nation is to see how we can liberate policy on the importation side of farming input, farming equipment, then try to mitigate from there. And also try to also come up with some measure in which we should now diversify the land-fed sort of plan that we have for agriculture. We need to go more into irrigation.
Irrigation, yes.
Yeah. If we can have favorable land pattern as we go in future, and maybe we start working out farming input today and farming equipment today, I think that could be a measure that we can take. But all that will actually have to be a longer term measure, and its yield will take a bit of time. And obviously, we are talking of political issues now. You see, these are quite intertwined, because obviously we are talking of this year to be politically motivated, knowing that even the current government is only remaining this year to collect a lot of things. Next year it will be campaign, typical campaign time, and we are looking forward to see how best can we strike a balance between growth, sustaining also price stability. So this is where now the current situation of central bank as well as the central government trying to see how best they can work around a lot of things in essence.
The fight of administration and politics is getting heated.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I'm interested to know, I think earlier you mentioned that the debt restructuring has to be concluded in the first quarter of this year. What would be the case like in case we are unable to conclude this process?
You see, the debt restructuring process has been causing a lot of issues around economic fundamentals, and even much more the issue to do with the currency situation. is also imposed by the debt recycling process. In essence, it has been causing a lot of fatigue within the financial market. So the more we delay this, the more also we are causing effect around the forex market, the more we are causing effect around investment pattern for Zambia. So what we need to do is to conclude this as soon as possible so that we can moderate the effect that we are able to see. And the more we also get to have some of this settlement, the more also we will have confidence in the market. Because as it stands right now, Zambia does not seem to attract good investors. Even if it happens that we have got good governance system, a lot of policies coming in place, we will still have this challenge as a key factor actually on the table. So we just need to make sure that the debt recycling process is settled as soon as possible, because that also hinders on the sovereign rating and many other aspects that we can see in the economy. Yeah.
However, what is unfortunate about the debt issue is that it doesn't mainly lie into our court. That's
a challenge. You know, the biggest issue that the Eurobond are the most tensy kind of situation that we are faced with. Obviously, when looking at the bilateral, multilateral, loans or debts, they are not all that difficult because in a principle we have agreed. But where there is a problem too much is on the Eurobond, because the Eurobonds, it's actually coming from pensioners, fund managers, even people like you. For example, if you had invested in the Eurobonds, you can imagine you have worked for years and years, and that is your pension. Mm-hmm. So how do you succumb to that? And these are quite difficult situations. So if we can sort out the Eurobond part of our stake on the debt portfolio, then Zambia will be carrying a very light burden on debt issues. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mr. Sanga, maybe last as we are coming to the close of the program, I want to draw your attention to the vendetta issue. Perhaps the mining sector has been a bone of contention, and obviously so, because it's a major earner of export of foreign exchange for the country rather. So we saw yesterday KCM, vendetta rather, did announce that they have displaced about $25 million into KCM for salaries, contractual labor, and other critical services. How do you just react to this announcement?
Well, in as far as it's a good way we agreed in principle to harmonize some of these mining issues that we are actually being equipped with for some time. I think it's a good move that obviously there will be implication of that fund around the economy. But what we need to see is that we need to see a final, handover of KCM to the owner, so that we can actually see how certain things can work. But again, also it's also an opportunity for me to say there is a need for the KCM owner to actually make sure that they get the funds as soon as possible, because what has really been delaying over time, it's because of promising, then they say they will be able to get fund into the system, and it works like that. But I believe that money which came to pay directly, it must have been sourced somewhere, but we need the whole package that was actually agreed to ensure that we start moving forward. The delays that are caused by even extensively on the Mopani also, it's something that is of great concern. There's a need for the new owners of these two mines start operating so that we can see the good effect on the Kwacha, because the two mines have got a capacity of producing about 1.5 million metric tons if they are at full scale operation. So if we need to look at that, I think that would be a critical element to go towards the target of 3 million metric tons of output. And obviously we know that in this year we cannot achieve a substantial amount of production, but we know that with this harmonization coming into play, we'll be able to see that some of these things will work out for our better, this country. And much of what I would say also is that I think it's high time we need also to look around the mining policy that should be able to suit going into the future, considering the case that we have actually dealt with Mopani and KCM and many other mines, so that we can actually create a good atmosphere for this nation. Zambia, for a longest period of time, has operated dealing without a mining regulatory. And this has been a rhetoric message, starting from the last announcement in 2022, budget of 2023, budget of 2023 into 2024, we've been talking about establishing the Mining Commission Board. I think it's high time we need to accelerate this effort, consider that there is even an allocation that has been made in the budget share, so that we can actually see how we can bring the mineralization and beneficiation of this board, and even just the mining sector need to reach a point where we start fully benefit from it, and also create complementary sectors to support the economy, because we do not need to just depend on the mining entirely, and also we need also to ensure that we have a good strategy of mineral diversity. We've got minerals that are coming on board, which are quite essential for our mining product mix, and it's cause for us to start looking at how best can we accelerate effort toward making sure that we have even value addition taking place in Zambia. Copper is still standing on super cycle, considering that we are moving toward energy transition of green energy in particular. So it's high time we need to start looking forward and make a proper check around mining products, and ensuring that we fully participate into the world transition of energy. And this is what is actually living at stake. Despite some few changes that we're able to see in copper prices, we still have some good cycle boom around copper. Yes.
And especially now that there is this dry spell, it's very important that we maximize the benefits from the minerals.
Yes.
We can go into irrigation and other these issues.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, and also there's this story that has been trending in recent days, the discovery of a vast copper ore in Zambia. What does this mean?
Well, it's a complementary effort that artificial intelligence is actually working out. We know that the Mungomba story will be a story that will create a different situation for Zambia. Carbon coming on board to basically work out this. I think it's high time ZCCM recognizes this participation, and probably also ensure that they get this to be a key partner to ensure that we have even more projects with them. Obviously, Zambia now should be able to start looking at increasing the value in the copper value chain, and ensuring that also we have some bit of good value chain around the country. Because you see, for a longest period of time, for about even 40 years, almost actually 40 years I should put it, last year we only recorded lowest production. It has never happened. The challenge that has been happening is that from 2008 up to 2015, the mining sector had changed policies for about 15 times, and that was very unhealthy. And that's the reason why Congo, just nearby here, they are in political confusion. But look where Zambia is. We are a peaceful nation, but yet a country which is in political confusion is the one that is even beating us in terms of production. They are talking of about 2.5 million metric tons. As we're talking about, just last year, we recorded about 600 metric tons, which is not even a million. So that also should be able to be questionable. And we need now to see where are we going, where are we doing it wrong, so that we can actually do something better. Zambia has got advantageous features that should be able to help us to move into a positive direction with what has been happening in terms of copper participation. We used to be number one. We are now at the second. And even when it comes to the second, we are far away from Congo, and that actually is something that we need to talk about and ensure that we have a good policy. And this is the more reason why, for me, I think my call is if we can look at even coming up with an aspect of running the 24-hour economy, it should be based now as a national feature in the National Development Plan, not a political ownership. If we can look at all those aspects, I think that will really help us to change some of this narrative. Because what we have actually been able to see most of the time is that we are politicking too much, and that's the reason why we are getting backward in terms of production, in terms of economic affairs and all that. So let's move the political jacket and champion economic aspiration for this nation, and we will be able to lead somewhere. Yes.
I think on that note, Mr. Sanga, we have come to the end of the program. We have to thank you for making appearance. But before we go, I thought we should check our social media if there's anything, Mr. P.
All right, so we have Maureen Goma here watching from 15 miles. We also have Enoch Malikita who's watching from Kapirimposhi in Mukonchi area. And Kennedy Mwange is watching us from Kapiri also in Zambia. We do appreciate your company on our social media page. Mr. Kaptur.
I think on that note, it has been a very good discussion, I think, around economic issues. We have touched a number of issues from the Kwacha to the Bank of Zambia intervention and also the mining sector. Just how we should ensure that we maximize benefits from the mining sector, especially in the value chain, value addition. You know that we can be mining, however, the big question is that we are mining for who? We have to, we have to mine. I think we have to mine for ourselves, especially if jobs should reflect on the local market. From myself, Afias Kaptura, and on behalf of my co-host, in terms of Innocent Piri, our guest has been Mr. Kelvin Chisanga. In transmission, there is Elijah Chifita. Thank you very much for watching. Keep glued to Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll be back on this section of broadcast on Monday in the morning. Bye for now.